Hello and welcome to the WBAP 820 570 KLIF Weather Podcast for Thursday, January 26th. Well, we've had some record warm temperatures in January, last week to 10 days, but it has been turning cooler. And looking ahead to next week, we're looking at some colder weather. We'll get to that in a few minutes, but I do want to touch on these unusually warm days we've had. We tied the record of 79 degrees on January 17th. We hit 83 degrees on January 10th, beating the old record of 79. And on January 11th, we hit 85 degrees that afternoon, shattering the old record of 83, and that is also the warmest January temperature since the Lyndon Johnson administration in early January of 1969. Old LBJ was packing up the White House at that time, but he was still president. And so, warmest January temperature since 1969. All right, here's our morning satellite loop. It's just a beautiful day, just about all across the state now. A few clouds in the lower valley, but that's about it. By the way, see all the white over the Panhandle and the South Plains? Notice that white is not moving. The rule of satellite interpretation is if it moves, it's a cloud. If it doesn't move, it's snow cover. And that's snow cover from 6 to 10 inches of snow that fell in the Panhandle and South Plains just a couple of days ago. So what's going on today? Well, looking at the radar map, a broad mid-latitude cyclone is producing wintry weather over about a dozen states east of the Mississippi into the northeast. And the northeast center of that, off the coast of Maine, is trying to turn into a nor'easter, although I think it's going to be more of an issue now for the Canadian maritime provinces, but it's a pretty tough little storm. And we're also seeing some fairly good lake effect snows in Cleveland and Buffalo and Rochester from Lakes Erie and Ontario. All right, let's check out the forecast models. Now, this is the global forecast system with colored precipitation type. So I'm not in the upper levels of the atmosphere right now. We're in the surface, but the green is rain, the blue is snow, and the purple would be sleet or possibly ice. And so what you see is a significant snow and ice event forecast for parts of the Panhandle, northwest Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas taking place around the middle of next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe into Thursday. Now, notice the precip over North Texas remains as rain, remains green, at least for now. Now, let's zoom in on that same model through late Thursday of next week. So it runs from today through late Thursday. So the end of this model loop is next Thursday, February 2nd. And as usual, it's going to be a close call. We often have a close call with, sub-freezing temperatures and precipitation occurring at about the same time. As the subtropical Pacific storm system crosses Mexico and goes into Texas, with temperatures getting down to near freezing, maybe 28, 29 degrees. Let's bring in the temperature forecast model now. While North Texas will get a cold rain Monday and Tuesday, we might see temperatures as cold as, right now, the forecast is maybe as low as 28, 29 degrees, which we could probably weather pretty well. But if the temperatures are 4 or 5 degrees colder, and that can easily happen this time of year because forecast models don't do as well resolving the very thin layers of the coldest air. But if the temperatures hold to what the models are saying, 28, 29, we'd be okay. If they get down 23, 24, 25, we could be looking at ice on surface streets and certainly bridges and overpasses Wednesday or Thursday. But we'll worry about that next week. All right, let's go through the surface maps. Starting at noon today, snow in the northeast and snow in Montana and the Dakotas from that Alberta Clipper. Now, by Friday morning, more snows are falling in Montana, Idaho, and eastern Washington state as Pacific moisture gets entrained behind a Canadian surface low that's moving into the Great Lakes on Friday. By Saturday, another surface low back in the Pacific Northwest kind of takes shape, and it gives that snow another boost across Wyoming and Nebraska, with even heavier snows in Iowa, too. On Sunday, the snow continues to deepen across Wyoming, Nebraska, and South Dakota. And notice the high-pressure center now spreading south from Minnesota, that big H on the map there, Minnesota. It's forcing a Canadian cold front now down into North Texas on Sunday morning, this coming Sunday morning, and points farther southeast, too. Now, that front will set off some moderate to heavy rains across much of the southeastern part of the country, but by Monday, the Pacific Northwest storm system is centered just west of Denver, and because of the low-pressure system and the counterclockwise movement of lows, it is holding up or actually blocking some of that cold Canadian air from blasting any farther south, like toward Texas. But we are starting to pick up on some cold rain here Monday night. And Tuesday, the Canadian high just won't give up, and although the coldest air has been modified by hanging out in the Midwest for 2-3 days, we do see snow in Kansas and Missouri, icing from Oklahoma City up through the Ozarks, and some heavy rains farther south. Meanwhile, the snows in the west are now running out of Pacific moisture as they move across the Rockies, and they're beginning to weaken. In Texas, it's more cold rain, but at least it's rain. On Wednesday, the whole weather system pretty much congeals into a wintertime rain event from East Texas all the way up to Boston down to the southeastern part of the country. And by Thursday, the rain's gone from most of Texas. The sun comes out, and we can start warming up again. So here's our forecast. Today, sunny and cool with a high near 53, winds out of the northwest 5 to 10. Just a little cooler than normal. Lows tonight again, either side of freezing, but probably on the cold side. Tomorrow, Friday, sunny to partly cloudy, breezy and warmer with a high of 61. South winds kick in 15 to 20 and gusty, and that also brings in more mountain cedar pollen, which has been just nearly lethal so far this winter. Then more of the same on Saturday, cloudy, windy and humid. Isolated showers possible Saturday night between the warm air of 64 Saturday afternoon and the cold front that's starting to come in across the Midwest. On Sunday, we're partly cloudy, breezy, and milder with north winds 15 to 20, a high of 58, which is about normal for this time of year, 37 for the low Sunday night. And on Monday, cloudy and cool. We'll start to see these scattered showers moving in, high of 49, low of 36. And again, we hope it's just going to be a cold rain Monday night, Tuesday, into Wednesday, but we'll be watching the temperature forecasts very closely. So thanks again for joining us for the WBAP 820 570 KLIF Weather Podcast for Thursday, January 26th. We'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.